back, I guess it was 100 years ago, 150 years ago, something like that, Thomas Malthus wrote his famous essay on population and extinction in some real sense. And so for all those of you who are listening, you need to know this idea. So Malthus, who was quite a smart observer, noted that in natural populations, there are often cycles of boom and bust. And so under standard natural conditions, a population of animals, and that would range anywhere from single-celled animals, say in a petri dish, up to deer, grazing on the plains, a population would expand until it consumed all of the available resources. That would be mostly food in the case of animals. And then having overconsumed would precipitously collapse. And that's balanced in the natural world to some degree by predation and the competition between different species. But fundamentally...
Between species, yeah.
Right, but fundamentally, given limited resources, a given population will expand until it exceeds the carrying capacity of the environment. Now, Malthusian biologists assumed that that model was relevant to human beings by assuming that we were subject to the same constraints. And so you really saw this kicking into high gear in the 1960s, where people like Paul Ehrlich, who has plenty of sins on his conscience, let's say, made the case in the mid-60s, along with the Club of Rome, that by the year 2000, we'd have so many bloody mouths to feed on the planet that commodity prices would shoot through the roof and everyone would starve.
I remember reading, as you probably did, The Limits to Growth, right? The Forrester book, right?
Right, and the time...
Of course, we know now, yes.
Well, and the time frame, the time frame prediction was the year 2000. Now, one of the things we should point out, that if you're putting forward a scientific hypothesis that's testable and falsifiable, it's incumbent upon you to specify the appropriate time frame. You don't get to say the human race is heading for an uncontrollable Malthusian catastrophe sometime in the next 10,000 years. It's like you can just go away with those ideas. If you can't specify the damn time frame, then you should shut the hell up.
Verifiable, testable hypotheses are the essence of science.
Right. So,
absolutely.
So people like Ehrlich, who predicted, for example, that commodity prices were going to spike through the roof by the year 2000 and everyone was going to starve, are wrong. And the reason they're wrong, at least in part, is because the Malthusian predictions, they don't apply to people. And I think the reason they don't apply in some fundamental sense is because we're capable of the death of our ideas instead of the death of our bodies, right? So we can adapt.
Adaptability is maybe the defining characteristic of humans, all right? We're wonderfully adaptive. People live, from Hudson Bay down to the equator, and we do just fine. And I think, at least to judge by past experience, you have to have faith that we as a species will figure it out, because we've always done that in the past.
Yeah, and we've done it under more trying conditions than we have now, I might say.
Absolutely.
Too. And there's a lot of brain power available in the world now too, and that's one of the massive benefits of having a larger population. I mean, there's more smart people alive now, especially smart and educated people, than there has been at any point in the past. And
and we've got to let them, do their thing, all right? And that's got to do with governance and regulation and so on. But absolutely, there's tremendous human capacity right now.